Hello and welcome to Two Therapists and a Microphone. I am Dr. Harrison Davis.
And I'm Dr. Asia Dickerson.
Two Therapists and a Microphone is a podcast radio show devoted to mental health issues, social issues, and personal issues that affect you. We air live every Thursday evening at 7 o'clock p.m. on the Our Black Media Network.
That's right. Dr. Harrison and I are two licensed psychotherapists with decades of clinical experience, and we want to hear from you. Now, we like talking about stuff in the media, but more than that, we like talking about things that are going on with you all. So please tell us about your situations or dilemmas by visiting www.twotherapist.com and click on Ask Two Therapists at the top of the page.
Absolutely. We do want to hear from you guys. And we're also going to start a new feature fairly soon where you can actually come on the show. And I can send you the link to join us. And you can turn off your camera if you want to, for some confidentiality. And we can talk to you about your personal dilemma. We're going to start that real soon because we believe our community, we need this help. We need somebody who we can relate to, who understand us. You don't have to explain things to us. And here's an opportunity for you to get some free guidance from two trained psychotherapists. So today we're going to talk about hot topics like we usually do. Several episodes, we bring up some topics that are important to us or something interesting, and we don't share it with each other until the time of the show. So I always like to give Dr. Aisha an opportunity to go first, if that is what she wants to do.
Yes, thank you. And I just talked that we always kind of chop it up, Harrison and I, before we come on. I was telling them about a situation that's going on with me at work that I might or might not mention a little bit later, but this story
Don't
kind of
mention
makes
it.
me think about it. I won't, okay, I won't.
Mm-mm.
So there is, or well, let me back up and say that I got the opportunity to visit the Daily Show or watch a taping of the Daily Show in
Oh,
Atlanta this week. That's right. Yeah, Trevor Noah came to Atlanta. It was
oh.
super great. Yeah, he's really cute in person and super funny. But I rarely watch the news outside of watching the Daily Show. I mean, I'm busy all day and it comes on at 11 p.m.
Yep.
So I found out then that apparently someone broke into Nancy Pelosi's husband's house. She was there. That's who he was interviewing while I
Okay.
was there. Someone broke into her house and attacked her husband with a hammer.
Yep.
And apparently, a lot of Republicans made a joke about it, which to me is super appalling because this guy is in his 80s. There's nothing funny about attacking an elderly man, period.
Was a hammer, and I believe he had to have surgery on his
Yes.
fractured skull.
Hmm. So they came in looking for his wife. And it's got me thinking, why do people think it's okay to violate other people's boundaries because of who they are, because of their positions, because they're out trying to help other people, whether or not it's you? You feel like you have the right to not just breaking into someone's home and hitting them with a hammer is a big example. But a lot of other things can happen, like walking up to them in the grocery store or posting on their social media or stalking them basically in any way. Let people have their professional and personal lives. Now, can they merge, or do we realize that if you're a public figure, people might be in your business? Yes. But that does not mean that you have the right to violate other people's boundaries and put them in situations when they are in danger. It's an epidemic now.
Yes, it is.
We have a lot of Democrats in office, and we know that this is, especially in Georgia, this is a battleground state. We already had some early voting, but election
Hmm.
day is on Tuesday,
Hmm.
and we just don't know how it's going to look after Tuesday. But based on some of these events, like
We
I
don't know how
get a
people are
little
going to
anxious.
respond.
Right, exactly. Based on these events, it kind of makes me really nervous. I watched some other interviews where people were
Hmm.
like, yeah, if he doesn't win, it's going to be World War III. Like, people, I got my guns and all of this. Why? This is not what, with elections, you are supposed to accept whoever wins. And, I know that's That sounds ridiculous these days,
Yeah,
right?
didn't many of us do that in 2016?
But we know that you can't make everyone happy. Period. 90% of people can like you and 10% of them will still not like you. That does not mean that that 10% can go and try to mess your whole life up. I almost cussed. I'm trying not to
Don't
cuss that
not on
much.
air. I think you
No,
could
no.
get away with it on the internet, but
Okay, okay, okay. So I'm trying to cut back on cussing.
I'm not.
On air. I'll say,
Wait, let me tell you what I
I'll,
hear when I'm hearing you say, how I'm interpreting things, suggesting some people take a look at your own pathology that makes you so enraged about someone having a difference of opinion that you want to go and physically harm them. Like you're so disrupted, because someone doesn't share your opinion or your thought that you think about attacking them, or lashing out at them. And
Mhm.
that's exactly what that story was about. The guy was mad because Nancy Pelosi takes on a different political view than he does. Now, she was voted into that position
Yes,
by
she
her
was.
constituents over and over and
That's
over
what I say
again.
multiple times. The woman has been there for a minute. Her people like her.
Granted, he may not have voted for her, but there are other alternatives than going to breaking into someone's home with a hammer to attack them. And according to the news reports, he was yelling, "Where's Nancy?
Mhm.
Where's Nancy?" She was in D.C., but he still attacked her 82-year-old husband, and he left some evidence or something. And police are saying that he was going to break her kneecaps. Whatever happened to just being part of the political system and organizing other people to vote the way you're going to vote? Many of us do it over social media. We let it be
Right.
known who we support and who we don't support.
Mhm.
And I share that information, hoping to encourage people to vote for certain candidates. But the thought never entered my mind to go to that candidate's house or a politician who I don't like, I didn't vote for, and attack them in their home. But it's becoming a norm
Right.
here.
Well, the thing is, a lot of us, and by us, I'm just going to say Black people, have had to deal with so many laws in the past that did not benefit us.
Yeah,
We have had plenty of leaders who did not have our best interest in mind,
still do.
who put right and put things in place that brought us down. It doesn't, very rarely, though, have we seen Black people go run into politicians. I mean, maybe never. I don't know. I didn't try to go find the stats, but see them go and run into their elected officials' homes and try to kill them. Like something else that's in the news that I just saw today was that the Supreme Court is maybe looking at taking away affirmative action. That's what it was.
In higher education. Yep.
Right, right. Affirmative action in
Public.
higher education, which affects both of us. I mean, we work in higher education. I won't say
Yep.
that I'm a product of affirmative action,
I
but
can't
I
say
mean,
that either.
but if I was or if I wasn't, I mean, it's going to change the dynamic, not necessarily of my institution, but I know a lot of institutions where there are no Black faculty, there are no people of color, and there are people who've applied for those positions who had all the credentials but didn't get it because Joe knew Tom and Tom knew Fred, and that's who they hired. They just
Yes.
didn't hire the woman or the person of color.
There are some big implications with that when the Supreme Court is going to make a decision on that fairly soon. And there's some indicators that they're going to uh, get rid of affirmative action in public higher education. And you're right, Aisha, there are many of universities and colleges out there where the Black enrollment or Hispanic enrollment, they're low.
Yeah.
And the only reason that they have some of the diversity that they have is through some type of affirmative action
Mhm.
measure that is there, but the student success rates are the same, and there's some very large, uh, popular universities in Georgia that
Yeah.
lack diversity. And so this enrollment and employment of the faculty and staff and this type of decision is going to hurt them. They're going to become less diverse.
Mhm.
So people aren't talking about it a lot. I think they're going to feel it,
Mhm.
because part of the goals of some universities part of it is to become more diverse. So that
Right.
becomes a part of the admissions process. No one is going to accept anybody who is not qualified to be a student at the school,
Hmm.
because they want successful students at their universities. However, if you want a well-rounded student at your university, you want to expose them to some diversity.
Right.
And so this is going to affect all of that, and that decision is going to come fairly soon.
Hmm. Well, and what I see happening is that it's going to leave the door open for a lot of people to sue when they don't get into the school.
Yeah.
They're going to find all kind of reasons why I feel like I should have been there, but you didn't choose me. You chose someone who maybe their ACT score was higher and their grades were higher, but they're going to say you chose them because they are not. I'm just going to say a white male,
Yep.
heterosexual
Yep.
Christian.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And
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 that's
they'll have the
that's
money to spend on attorneys, so they're gonna
and that's how this
pay the legal
case
party.
that's how this case made it to the Supreme Court. Someone is suing, I think, two public
See, I guess I gotta
universities.
read up on that. I had no
That's
idea.
that's
Tell
how
me
it
what's going
made it
on.
to the Supreme Court. So they're gonna make a decision on it. It doesn't look good because of the makeup of the court, because of the presidents that our country voted for, elected, and they are the ones to nominate Supreme Court justices.
Mhm.
And it is heavily conservative. There's nothing wrong with conservatism.
No, it's not.
However, it looks different depending on who is
Right.
implementing conservative policies that are out there. So I wanted to add that to that.
Thank you. Well, I guess I need to start watching the news, huh, Harrison? I get all my news from social media.
I cut it out. I'm just getting back into it because it's election year, but I can't take all that trauma. Like the rapper who was shot, and killed in
Right.
Houston. He's from Atlanta. I don't know anything about the Migos. He's
But see,
very
I do. So that's somewhere where I can help
okay.
educate you. I know all about the
I don't know
Migos.
anything. I can't tell you the song, but I'm sorry the brother was shot.
Yeah,
It sounds like it was senseless.
absolutely.
And it sounds like it's becoming a big part of the hip hop culture to
Hmm.
include gun violence.
Yeah.
That's what I know. I know he has he has parents, he has siblings, and friends, and the guy is dead. My understanding is he was the quiet one in the group.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
And so it's a group of three men,
Hmm.
and let me say I've met one and his family, and I think the other two, well, their families live in Gwinnett County. They
That's
have a
right.
lot of
He went to
where
high
I
school
am.
in Gwinnett
Uh-huh.
County.
They have educated, really professional, nice family members, and they didn't grow up as drug dealers or anything like
Yep.
that. They didn't
That's
grow
the
up in,
suburbs.
yeah, they didn't grow, and they've said that in interviews. They didn't grow up in gangs or anything. They mostly rapped about having fun, uh, probably some sexual stuff. I have to admit,
Like
sometimes I
Drake.
just listen. Right, I just listen to the beat. I don't always listen to the words,
Okay.
but then let's say some of your friends do, and you have these day ones, is what they call them, day ones, who are still out in the streets,
Oh,
and
gotcha.
you want to hang out with your day ones, and you end up in the wrong place. But yeah, he was supposedly the quiet one. I never heard anything bad about him in the
That's
past.
what people say.
Yeah,
So,
so
okay.
over a dice game, which like an actual dice game, not at a casino or anything. But again, I haven't read all the details about that. But what I do know is that for us, as a people, and by people this time I'm talking about Black people in Georgia, and him or them being from somewhere that's so close to me, is concerning. These are things that
Yeah.
add to our anxiety. Now we're
Yeah.
not just dealing with these people who want to attack because they disagree. We're
Yep.
dealing with the other people who want to attack when they're in the same community and they also disagree over something like a dice game. You
Yep.
can't do anything.
Yep. No matter where you turn.
Yeah, it's,
Gotcha.
it's dangerous around here.
So thank you for those hot topics. Anything other that you want to add to that?
No, no, no. I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there for right now because I really want to hear yours today.
I like those. So I got a hot topic I want to talk
Okay.
to you about. Some of you guys know Dr. Aisha and I, we're licensed psychotherapists. We've been doing it for a long time, professors, and we supervise recent graduates of counseling, master's level counseling programs, and it can last 2 to 3 years. And
Hmm.
we talk to them about their cases, consult with them, give them some advice and guidance on working with their clients, where I got some supervisees, and so do
I feel like I
Dr.
have a lot
Aisha.
of.
And so one of my supervisees, we talked about a case that she has, and I wanted to bring this up because I didn't know what to make of it. I want to hear from you, Dr. Aisha, what you think about it, and perhaps some of the audience out there. So the clients, Black folks, married couple in their 40s, and she has a 18-year-old daughter from a previous relationship before she met her husband. And what I understand is that they have two youngsters
Okay.
together, and I believe that they are boys. And so what has happened recently, the 18 is 18 years old, college, and come back home, whatever, um, revealed to her mom that her stepdad, who raised her since she was 3 years old, when she was 10 years old, he does this thing where he sucks on her cheeks.
Okay.
And he did it so much that she had what we call a hickey on her cheek when she was 10 years old. She didn't like it. She remembers and reminded the mom of when it happened,
I was about to say, did the mom not
because the
see that?
mom
Okay.
saw it when the girl was 10. What's that on your cheek? And the mom thought it was a bruise. So the girl, she lied at 10 and said she fell off her bike. The mom didn't go any further with it. Now the girl is 18, not getting along with the dad, the stepdad, brings this up. But the mom, what is curious about it, the mom is admitting that he's done that to his own sons. It was a way of him demonstrating affection, especially when they're young,
Mhm.
and like a Zerbert. I can
Mhm.
remember doing
Yeah,
it to
yeah.
my daughter's
Uh-huh.
tummy when she was like 3 years old.
Uh-huh.
I ain't never thought about doing it to her face, especially when she was 10 years old. And so the daughter is expressing it as a form of sexual molestation, sexual misconduct
Oh,
is
that's not where
is
I thought that was going.
is the
Okay.
term that I would use. And the daughter saying she just didn't like it. And he would keep doing it and pointing out that he did it so hard one time. He actually put a hickey on her cheek. The mom seems conflicted by it because she doesn't know what to think about it. The daughter's expressing it as some form of sexual misconduct. It didn't go any further than that. She's not reporting anything beyond that. And he has done it to his sons. It's something that he does. So, what I wanted to ask you, Dr. Aisha, anyone else out there, what do you think about that?
Well, so the first thing that I heard, well, not I heard a lot of stuff, but the biggest thing that I heard that stood out to me is that she didn't like it, and
The girl. Mhm,
he wouldn't stop doing it.
mhm.
And so when people hear that, a lot of times they think about stuff like physical abuse, but even me, I think about tickling. That's something that I don't
Yeah.
like, and if you tickle me and I tell you to stop and you won't stop,
A lot of people don't like it.
I will punch you in the face.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
somebody says they don't like something, you stop. You don't just keep doing it because it's fun to you or you think it's cute and oh, they need to have a sense of humor. When
Yeah.
people say they don't want you to touch them and violate their space in a certain way just because it entertains you, then you
Yeah.
have to stop. That's a 10-year-old, that's a 2-year-old. I see people do that with 2-year-olds all the time.
Yeah.
Just pick them, pick, and they say stop.
Yeah.
When my children were small, and people would do that. I wasn't my family members, but things like, let's say, church members. That's what I'm thinking about. A guy at church.
Yeah.
You poke my kid, and she says, "Stop, stop," and you do it again. It's gonna be a problem. I'm, you don't get first of all, you don't get to touch them anyway. But especially if they tell you no,
Yeah.
their mother might fight you
Yeah.
in church.
So you're talking about personal boundaries.
Yes.
And
Respect people. Look, and it's funny you say boundaries because I have this hole right here next to me from when I'm doing therapy, this setting boundaries workbook, and I
look at
love it.
that.
I'm having to use this so much recently with Black women in particular because those little boundaries,
Yep.
little boundary issues end up turning into big boundary issues when they get older. It can be something small, like, you kept pinching their cheeks or whatever happened where you bruised their cheeks.
Hugs.
Right. And that's a big one, but we'll come back to that one. We'll come
Okay.
back to that.
Okay.
And now they're older and they have guys who touch them and rub their shoulders, and then when they want to get inappropriate, they don't know how to
What
say
to do?
no.
Yep.
Now they don't
No
have
one taught them.
boundaries.
Mhm.
They think that they just have to put up with it.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
it's not painful, they just have to take it. So
Yep.
back
Yep. So
to the hugs. I hate that.
yeah, I learned with my daughter when she was much younger. Like in church, black folks,
Right.
we love to
And that's what
hug.
church.
And she just isn't always into people. Let me just put it that way. I didn't force her to hug. I had to tell people, no, she's not a hugger, or even escalated to yeah, she doesn't like people today, so you could just say hey to her, because I wanted to respect her right, to control who has access to her body, even if it's something as innocent as a hug sometimes, because I want, just like you mentioned, for her to grow up knowing that's her right. And
Right.
she doesn't have to give you a reason either. So that's something I started years ago when she was around 6 or 7. Everybody wanted to hug her and everything. Her classmates, all that little stuff. So you could tell them no. And so I had to show her how to do it, particularly in church and other people, and just let them know she doesn't want to hug. That's okay. And it's okay if you're offended
Right.
that she doesn't want to hug, but you're going to respect her right. So that is something that I think is good. But what did you want to say about the hugging?
No, just as you know, I have two daughters, and one of them likes to hug, and the other one doesn't. And I don't like to hug, period. But I probably started earlier than that, when they were 2 or 3, even one. Older people, well, you're not gonna give me a hug. I know you're gonna walk past me and not give me a hug.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, the way
Mm-hmm.
my kids are, if they like you and they want to give you a hug, you won't have to solicit a hug.
That's right.
They'll walk over and give you a hug. And before, they never had to take up for themselves, because I would say, if she wants to give you a hug, she'll give you a
Yep.
hug.
Yep.
Please do not try to pressure her into a hug.
Yep.
Just by saying that, my kids already knew they had the boundaries set in their mind.
Some parents pressure their
I know.
kids. I may have done that a couple of times when she was around 4 or so, but after that, that's it. You don't have to hug anybody you want to. So now imagine a 10-year-old.
Right. And now you're a pubescent girl. Like, it's just so much is going on with your body from like that
And your
age.
stepdad is giving you a hickey on your cheek.
Well,
Because
and
that's
so
what he used to do when you were 4 or 5 years old.
and so I also wonder, is her father involved in her life? Because I
No,
know okay, so we're saying stepdad, but for all intents and purposes,
that's her
that's her
dad. He was
father.
there since she was 3 years old.
Yeah, yeah. And I know, or I'm assuming, it was not done with malicious intent.
See,
But
I don't
that,
know.
well, okay, you're
I
right.
don't
You're right.
know.
I could be wrong.
And do we even have to assess that?
We don't.
The girl don't like it. And
But
at 18, she decided to tell her mom.
and also, like, it never crossed the mom's mind. I mean, when she saw him do it later on with the sons, she never said, "You know what? I wonder
It was
if that's what was
normalized.
happening with her cheek then too."
It was normalized
So
because
then
he
that
did it
comes
to
back to
all of them. He did it to
protect
all of
Black
them.
women. In this case, her sons too, but protect Black women. Like, you just
Just because he likes it and it
let the
appears
stuff
to
go.
be
Exactly.
innocent doesn't make it okay. Because then the other question is, what's the line? Like I mentioned, I used to give my daughter Zerberts on her stomach when she was 2 and 3 years old. But where is the age where you should stop that?
Definitely shouldn't do that when she's 10. I would have been the one to be like, Harrison, friend. No.
Please,
I'm
please
the only one
do.
no.
So apparently the stepdad didn't have those appropriate boundaries, and apparently still does it with his own sons. And we don't know. So that topic came up during supervision, what his intentions. And I just pointed out, it doesn't matter. The girl, who's now 18, is saying she didn't like it, and she decided to go to her mom and say, this is what stepdad did to me. Now the mom has to figure out, what she's going to do. She confronted the dad about it. He's outraged and feels like he's been accused of molestation. And
Mhm.
the daughter just wants him to admit that he did that to her when she was 10 years old and that she didn't like it. He needs to admit it. I think what's triggered her is that she saw that he's doing it to his sons
Mhm. Okay.
because he's
That
okay
makes sense.
with it. And so now she decided to tell the mom she's not accusing him of anything more than that, except she was 10 years old. Her stepdad gave her a hickey on her cheek. She didn't like it. And so she wants the mom to know about it. The mom is all twisted up. She don't know what to do.
Well, so there's so much involved there. I'm thinking about me as a single mother, and if I get remarried, and my kids are big now, thank God. But how much I understand that the girl was younger when they met, but when you marry someone, because I used to be married, and you bring them into a relationship where you have a child, a lot of the purpose around that is I want my child to have a good father figure,
Yep.
someone who is going to assist me with setting them up for success, someone
Yep.
who's going to show them what a great man is and how
Yep.
they're supposed to act in
And
relationships.
protect them.
Right. So things that make that go wrong are when that spouse abuses or hurts you, and when they abuse or hurt your children. And I was
Yeah.
like, we didn't even have to be in this situation. I could have done bad all by myself. And now you
Yep.
made everything worse.
Or done better by yourself.
Oh, right. Exactly. Could have done bad or better by yourself. So I imagine that this mother is torn between, I thought I made this family great. And now I'm finding out almost a decade later that
Yep.
maybe I made things worse. And another part of the dynamic here is that it appears this young woman and her stepfather used to have a great relationship, and now they don't.
That's correct.
And was it a problem before, or is it just something we're making a problem now because you don't like them?
Yeah. So what I was thinking, one or two things will happen. The mom, one or two relationships are going to get ruined.
Mhm.
It's going to be either the relationship with her husband because she believes her daughter and is outraged about it, or the relationship with her daughter is going to get ruined because she's not going to take it seriously and minimize it. And that's part of the other dynamic that's there too, where the daughter is not happy with a number of things the stepdad is doing. And I guess she feels grown enough now at 18
Mhm.
to talk about it. And
Probably just
so
been waiting till she was grown to say what she wanted to say.
I say, I don't know, but she did, so
And I
parents,
want her to state her truth too. So I
she
like,
did.
you've been
She ain't
holding on
backing
to that.
down
I'm
either.
happy you got it
but the,
out.
but the but the mom's falling apart, and so is the dad now with anger, with that. So that's why I wanted to bring up this topic, about boundaries with your kids, and what are those lines that are there. I was, it was unsettling hearing that a grown man put a hickey on his 10-year-old daughter, um, and reframing it as something innocent,
Mhm.
that it's not. I'm happy that she stepped forward and told the mom, but like I mentioned, the mom is falling apart. And so I wanted to mention that to other parents who are out there and think about who you're exposing to your kids and your daughters, in particular, boys too, and think about those boundaries, because I haven't talked to any of those people. This information is coming through my supervisee. I don't believe the mom was ever taught those healthy physical boundaries.
Well, I was just about to say, we're talking about step parents and people you bring around your children, but I think that it's 2022 and we've learned a lot about how things happen in the past and
Yep.
unhealthy relationships and things we've passed down through our family, and we could all stand to or should respect not all of them but some of our children's boundaries. I think a lot of African American people would say, or Black people in general, what boundaries?
Yep.
This is my house, my kid. I made you.
Don't make your
I'm
uncle
gonna
feel
bust into your
bad. You go
room.
over there and hug him.
I have girls and I'm a woman, but I'm not just gonna bust into your room. I'm gonna knock on the door. I'm gonna allow you to I'm gonna allow you to put clothes on. I
Yep,
don't
yep.
get to just come in because we're both
That's
women.
right.
This is your boundary. Your
Gotcha.
body is your body and your space is your space. You have the right to, I tell my kids all the time, you have the right to have feelings. You don't get the
Yes.
right to be disrespectful, but if it's about to go down, you have the right in my house to walk away and take a break. Now you got to come back in like 10 or 15
But
minutes, but
most
for your
importantly,
own safety, I'll
like you
respect that
mentioned,
boundary.
they have the right to protect their bodies.
Yeah.
And they have the right to acknowledge their gut where they have a strange feeling
Hmm.
about somebody. And if you don't want to be around them or talk to them, then that is perfectly fine. Because all I'm hearing, and both you and I, we've talked to plenty of clients
Hmm.
for all types of childhood trauma and sexual trauma. Just imagining that going further, the grown man, 10-year-old stepdaughter, and giving her a hickey on her cheek. Imagine.
If she had said that at school, that would have blown your whole life up.
DFACS would have been there. Child Protective Services. Then the police would have shown up. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I thought it would be a great conversation about boundaries with our kids, particularly the girls, and also to some of the men out there and women too, about how you show affection towards your kids and the young ones, and they grow. And I just don't think it's appropriate to do the things that you used to do when they were 3 and 4 years old. A 10-year-old girl. I saw a lot here. A hickey, 10-year-old
But
girl,
it's the thing is the word hickey. Every time you say that, it's like, hickey.
because that's what it was,
Hickey. Yeah.
regardless of his intent.
Hmm.
So I want to talk to you guys about that and just bring that out because I don't know what's going to happen with that. I gave my supervisee some guidance on it. I really hope the dad steps forward and takes a real good look at himself and simply admit that he may have thought that was innocent. He didn't see anything wrong with it, and now hearing it years later, admit to how much of a mistake that was for him to do that. The girl, she hasn't accused him of anything more than that, but she is letting everybody know she didn't like it. So
Well,
I can
and they
only
can't move towards forgiveness until he just you can say I didn't think it was. Now that you told me, I apologize.
yes,
Like,
yes. And maybe that was part of his upbringing, his family of origin. That's things that they did. But right now, the girl is saying she didn't like it. Now, the mom's going to have to work through some feelings too,
mhm.
and not realizing she wasn't there to see this and stop it or even acknowledge that her daughter didn't feel comfortable
I
when
mean,
he
to the
was
point where
doing
that
it.
she lied to you, to the point that she lied about what happened on
Yes.
her face.
So that's what I wanted to say about that. Talk about the people, boundaries are important. Think about the kids, and what you do. Find out if they like it or not. And also the other parents, you got to see what is going on with your kids and notice when there's a change in behavior
Mhm.
because now this whole thing has disrupted this entire family. And I don't know what's going to happen to it, but I'm pretty sure it happens in a number of families that are out there. I'm hearing stories about moms calling their teenage sons daddy,
I
boyfriend,
have heard that and I've seen it and I
and
hate
kissing
it.
them on the cheek, and then that also includes a peck on the lips, as if they are 2 years old, but it's a grown 15-year-old man,
Got them
and
sleeping in the bed with them. All
calling
kinds of
him
stuff.
daddy and boyfriend. I have heard all of that, so it goes both ways.
Mhm.
So watch your boundaries out there with your kids. That's my hot topic. Any final words from you, Dr. Aisha?
That's it. I think, all in all, a lot of this was about boundaries in our personal and familial relationships, and also our boundaries in our professional and political relationships as
Yep.
well.
Yep.
People don't always like when you set boundaries, but they're safe and they're there for a reason. And if someone else's boundary is too much for you, then go somewhere with somebody who has the boundaries that you like, but that doesn't mean that you can push past and violate someone else's boundaries.
I concur with everything Dr. Aisha just said. I don't even need to add anything to it. But something you can think about, Aisha, you said the workbook that you use and you use it with some of your clients. You may want to think about starting an online group where you, because
I actually just talked about that last week because I use
Okay.
it with so many and they like it. And because of their age ranges, some are older, some are younger. I think they could benefit from talking about this stuff with each other. Where
they don't know.
someone who's like 50 could say to a 22-year-old, you know what? I had that issue when I was 22, and now look at me.
And
Don't be like this today.
recognizing when your boundaries were crossed
Yeah.
years ago,
Mhm.
and being brave enough to bring it up and
Yeah.
confront the person who actually did it. So I just wanted to mention that. I think that's wonderful that you're using that workbook and opening up to the rest of the public. But anyway, guys, you've been watching Two Therapists and a Microphone. I am Dr. Harrison Davis.
And I'm Dr. Aisha Dickerson. We're
broadcasting live every Thursday evening at 7 o'clock p.m. We will see you guys next week. Take care.
like that.